Story 1. He joined the Islamic State as a terrorist when the caliphate was in Syria. He fought for them and was killed by an airstrike from the United States Air Force near Raqqa in 2016 or 2017. I remember the newspaper articles with photos of him, including one where he was rowing a boat on the lake. He was a rower. He was unpleasant. I had more than one confrontation with him and punched him in the face once. Story 2. Steve bullied me multiple times. He was tall and handsome, and all the girls wanted to date him. He was very popular. Fast forward to today and he is a loser. He barely graduated from high school, did not go to college, is still living in the same neighborhood where I grew up, and works at the local dry cleaner. Once a year or so, I go back to visit family. Every year, it is the same story. I go to the dry cleaner to drop off or pick up clothes, and, "Steve, hello, buddy. How are you?" "Me? Do I know you?" "Steve, it is me, Steve. We went to high school together." "Me, did we? Are you sure?" Steve goes on, never acknowledges his days as a bully. "Me, I am sorry. I do not remember. It is my petty revenge, I know. Oh well, poor Steve." Story 3. Many have extravagant cars, multiple children, and baby mothers, yet still live with their parents. Some attended vocational school and earn a decent living. Others have made little progress, engaging in selling and drug-related activities. Story 4. It really depends. I went to a small-town American high school. There were basically two types, the stereotypical jocks and the trailer park parents-on-drugs types. I don't know what happened to those who moved out of the area. Among those who stayed local, the jocks mostly got good jobs working for the township, such as the fire department, police department, sanitation, or public works. The other types largely got into drugs and either overdosed or were in and out of prison. However, the few who turned their lives around seemed to be pretty down to earth. One thing I noticed, though, is that jock bullies are still unpleasant. If you go out to a bar on a weekend, you will soon realize they have a god complex and a judgmental attitude. Story 5. He is a relaxed person now and I play games with him regularly. It turns out he had a really toxic father growing up and tended to take it out on others. He did not really bully the vulnerable kids but targeted other unpleasant people he did not like, although he often took things too far. I personally did not have issues with him but did not appreciate his behavior. He is a good person now. Story 6. His best friend ended up betraying him, and his business suffered greatly because of it. He was always kind to me, so he was probably shocked when I blurted out, "Good, you deserve it after how you treated his friend," and walked away. That was the best part of the 15-year reunion, to be honest. Story 7. Shot in some sort of gang violence. What is crazy is I felt bad when I found out because he was in his teens. Story 8. I wasn't bullied, but 3 guys who were. One went to jail by his mid-30s. Another was a county official, family history, but went to jail for attempted murder of his wife in front of their kids. He got out early, of course, and went into the family business, 3rd generation. The last one seems to be a low-level union representative on the Eastern Seaboard associated with a mafia family. He wore that proudly, like an untouchable in high school. He was huge for his age, but a close friend beat him badly while trying to walk away in 9th grade. It was an epic fight. Story 9. Every single person I knew became calm and relaxed by the last couple of years of high school. Every single one. Otherwise, they became unsuccessful influencers due to poor decisions as teenagers. Story 10. I went to a fairly wealthy high school, so bullying was more psychological than physical. When high school ended, most of them went to party schools or relied on their parents' wealth to travel. Arizona State University was a popular choice for some reason. I assume it was a big party school. Miami was also a popular option. Meanwhile, I stayed home and went to an in-state university, so I lost contact with many of them during college. We have had several class reunions since then, and most of them lead fairly standard upper-middle-class corporate lives these days. Even the worst people during high school had a stable family to eventually get through to them. Some just took longer than others, I guess. Story 11. Morbidly obese, he was always a bit of an overweight child, but now he weighs between 35 and 40 stones. He is in his mid-40s now, so he likely does not have many years left. Story 12. He was in a car accident at 19 years old. He treated me poorly throughout elementary and early middle school. In 7th grade, I started standing up for myself and he backed off. Where I lived, we all transferred to a much larger school in 8th grade, and after that, I was not in the same circles, so I had no contact with him. Until 12th grade. I was walking into school and heard someone calling my name. It was him. He just wanted to talk about my car and how he thought it was cool. I was taken aback. After that, I still didn't hang around him, but when we passed in the halls, he would say hello or something. A year and a half after we graduated, I heard he had died. That moment was the first thing I thought of, and I was genuinely sad he was gone so young. Story 13. Rolled a Jeep, lost an eye. Worked at the local independent grocers of Australia. No one asked, but I am headed to Japan next month for fun. Story 14. Stay-at-home father interested in conspiracy theories and unidentified flying objects. Carries a firearm in the house and participates in tactical forums. He weighs over 350 pounds and walks with a cane. Story 15. One of them is or was a police officer. I am not sure if he still is. The other one, as far as I know, moved to another state and got married to a woman who looked very familiar, but I have apparently never met her. Story 16. Running a publicly traded company, he had to issue a very public apology because 2 of his food businesses recently experienced accidental deaths. I guess some things never change. Story 17. Dead-end job. Heroin background. Unsure if he still uses. Dad, a radiologist, died and left his mom with a house and money. He will probably die of a drug overdose. To this day, I will never understand why he treated me so badly or why he chose to do all that to himself when he had so many options and opportunities. Story 18. Ended up being left alone after 7th grade. As I got older, everyone else stopped bothering me less and less in high school. I still had her in my high school classes, but she never bothered me again. Story 19. I did not have a class bully, but I had unpleasant experiences with several individuals. Either way, the answer is I have no idea, as I stopped talking to most people from my school the day I left and have not spoken to anyone from there in several years. Story 20. I do not know, and it is too irrelevant to try to find out. If I had to guess, they are lower-class members of society in one of the worst places in the country now, because the city we grew up in has declined significantly. Story 21. He was supposed to be a sure-thing Major League Baseball player. He did nothing but bully kids, skip school, and was just an overall terrible person. Now he works a standard blue-collar job. He messaged me about 10 years ago and said, "Hey man, wasn't high school fun?" I replied, "No, you completely terrorized me, and it has affected me to this day. Knowing that I have become more successful is the only thing that gives me peace." Story 22. Life sentence in jail for murder, kidnapping, rape, robbery, and assault. You name a crime and he has done it. He is locked away forever for being a total monster. Story 23. Last I saw, he was a SoundCloud rapper with fewer than 10 followers. He was also a registered sex offender for trafficking a minor. He is still living with his very religious parents, which must be difficult for him. Story 24. We did not have one. Although we have had some wild and some sad outcomes since I graduated 2 years ago. Story 25. I do not know. I have not seen him in 15 years since middle school. A lot has changed, so I would love to find him on the street now. Story 26. I did not know and did not care. Pretty much everyone bullied me as a youth. I did not have any friends, so once I graduated, I moved far away and put the past behind me. Story 27. Not much. He got married, had children, and now lives a relatively normal life as far as I can see. He was not even a proper bully to me. He beat me up once after an argument and then started verbally abusing me because he thought I was weak. We had a massive fight after a few weeks of that, and when he learned I was prepared to fight him, he stopped. Story 28. He won the lottery at 17, bought a big house, got an amazingly attractive girlfriend, later married with children, invested the rest of the money, and has not worked a day in his life. Story 29. Never bothered enough to look them up, and at an all-boys high school in the mid-2000s, there certainly was not just one. Story 30. He was decapitated when he exited a highway and did not see a large truck parked in the breakdown lane. Story 31. Suicide after his wife, who he had dated since high school, had a black baby. Both are very white. He did not feel any remorse and called out our class Facebook page when people wanted to get together for a reunion to remember him. Here are a few things he and his friends did. Regular fights, 2 to 5 against 1, daily. Dumping garbage on kids or putting kids headfirst into garbage cans. Throwing food and condiments at people. Swirlies. I wish I was joking. Duct-taped kids to our senior tree, the worst being taping one of my friends naked to it before the lunch bell. Severely beating one of the students with Down syndrome who attended our school. His father owned a large local dealership, so he invested lots of money into the school for sports. There were zero repercussions for his daily bullying. There is more, but I'm sure I have blocked most of it out. High school was terrible, but that was only one bad experience among many. Story 32. One of them found religion and is doing missionary work somewhere. The other, I'm not sure about. Before typing this, he hadn't crossed my mind in years. Story 33. She was forced to transfer schools for struggling with some of the basic courses. Recently, she saw one of her best friends again. It turns out she lost contact with her entire group of friends during the move, and her friends were not very happy about that. Life can be fair sometimes. Story 34. He shattered my nose with a sucker punch. I literally wasn't even looking his way on the school bus. Took decades to heal properly, and I still have breathing problems today. He was shot and killed about 2 weeks after Operation Desert Storm started. Story 35. He became a white nationalist country singer. He is not a well-known or mainstream artist, but I have seen videos of him on his Facebook page playing at dive bars. He wore a Confederate flag as a cape to school once, and the school did nothing until he was confronted in the parking lot during lunch. There has been no positive development in his life. Story 36. Committed suicide over a girl who rejected him while in college. Duct taped a dryer hose to his car exhaust and piped it into the car with the garage door shut. Rest in peace, PB. You were probably more vulnerable to being hurt, so you countered it by being immature and mean to those who were smaller than you. Story 37. I wish I had the stories that most people here have about how their bully is a useless loser and they are now successful. For me, it's the opposite. He went to a great university and earns a lot of money, and I am the feckless loser who has no friends and barely a future. Story 38. Not necessarily my bully, but certainly the school bully. Constantly made fun of those who couldn't hold their own and wanted to fight anyone and everyone. Still got to play all the sports after being arrested, failing drug tests, and grooming incoming freshman girls. Just a disgusting individual. After high school, he was arrested for trespassing, got a girl pregnant, and was caught in bed with another girl immediately after his son was born. He was kicked off the college football team. He was arrested again. Last I heard, he was in the Marine Corps, props to him. Cannot see his son, and owes child support. Story 39. When he was a bully, he was a heavy marijuana user, always getting suspended for smoking pot in school. Around the COVID-19 pandemic during our junior year of high school, he got clean and started trying to be friends with me specifically. I never had a problem with him and genuinely thought he was an alright guy. We hung out a little but not as best friends. He ended up being a police officer, specifically one who tries to help other kids get off drugs. Cool person. Story 40. He became a drug addict who begs for money on the street to continue his addiction. The incredible thing is that, despite all the psychological damage it caused me, I still feel sorry for him. Story 41. He got even heavier and never left town. Once he lost most of his friends by his senior year, he changed his attitude and is a very kind person now. Story 42. I did not experience bullying in my later years of school, and I do not remember being called any names in elementary school. Story 43. I have never searched for past bullies on social media or the internet. I believe my success and happiness in life are so great that I do not care about them in any capacity. Story 44. They were cousins. One is addicted to cocaine, has a couple of children with different women. The other died of a rare cancer a few years ago. For some reason, the small town I grew up in treated him like a hero and raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for his family, while quietly talking about what a terrible person he was. Story 45. Two of them have stable middle to upper middle class jobs and families. I don't run into either one much, but one has outright said he loathes his high school self, and the other hasn't said it, but you can tell. Best outcome, really, and I bear no grudges. I have basically concluded that pretty much everyone is an idiot in high school, and bullying was just one of many manifestations of it. Story 46. He died inhaling something in his mid-20s, in his parents' basement. Someone sent an email to our class with the news, saying we should remember him well. Story 47. I can't really say we had violent bullies in high school, but we did have the jocks, if that's what you consider bullies. One of them ended up being my best friend. I was his yes man. I was the level-headed voice he could hang out with. He fell into substance abuse. I tried to find him online 10 years ago but couldn't. Story 48. One person was hit by a logging truck and died. Another went to jail for selling steroids. I think one is a drug dealer, but I do not know and do not care. The other couple I do not know. Forget them. Story 49. Got shot and killed by another bully in a drug deal gone wrong. One is dead. The other is in prison for life. Story 50. He actually became a very relaxed person. We still see each other sometimes at the local indoor playground. People can change, he certainly did. Story 51. One person did a complete turnaround and started helping children as a school counselor. Another also changed course and became an activist to support people in low-income situations. Another became a photographer and began capturing images in war zones and dangerous areas. They became kinder after witnessing what they described as true horror. Honestly, all of them became better people, which is to be expected. Do not judge adults based on their childish actions. This might just be my hometown with fewer than 800 people, where the good kids also made significant positive changes. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.